Hi everyone on the shift training course. I'm really proud of marking your homework so far, and I'm starting to feel really confident in your learning and your knowledge of the poses. But the thing that I want to help you with and why I've made this video is to show you how to put more mindfulness into the yoga, and that's the really transformative part of the yoga and what makes it different from just gymnastics or PE. So it's really important that you watch this video and you practice putting this into your teaching. So we're going to start first of all with the simplest way that you can encourage mindfulness into your classes, and that is simply saying and reminding people throughout the entire class to observe their thoughts when they start wandering and they get distracted, and to come back to what you're teaching them with the breath and the movement. So if you say that little phrase of observing their thoughts and then anchoring back through breath and movement, that is a really easy way that you can bring in mindfulness into your classes. But make sure that after you ask that you give space for people to do that. So you pause for about 30 seconds to a minute and allow them to actually notice their thoughts wandering and come back. That lesson is so powerful. Imagine that students take on that advice from their yoga class, and in their life they can observe their monkey mind and their thoughts, and instead of reacting to them, they can just listen to them and come back and reground and recenter. So that is really powerful. Make sure you're including it in your classes. Okay, let's have a look at some other things. So I'm just going to check my notes. So let's talk about visualization. So some of you are stronger at this than others. For primary, I think this happens quite naturally in your teaching. But this is a great way to get people to refocus and to stay really present in their class. So let's start with a twist. So let's say you might just be doing a simple little seated twist like this. So obviously you take the time to go through how to get into that pose. So imagine we've done that, and then you're going to hold that stretch for a few minutes. Or that's if you're doing a really long, slow class. But if you also want to do a quicker one, then obviously just make your visualization a little bit shorter. So let's say we're just holding this here for a bit, and before you get your student to go into that space of silence, see if you can give them a visual idea to play with. So you might say, imagine you're twisting from the middle of your spine up into your shoulder, like you're rinsing water out of a wet cloth. Imagine squeezing that wet tea towel, getting all of the water out. So as you inhale, lengthen up nice and tall, and then as you exhale, imagine you're twisting round, like you're rinsing water out of that cloth, and feel that resistance with your hand on your knee. Hold it there in silence and focus on your breath and the visualization. So that's one example of how you can guide someone into a visualization that will help them stay there, versus you saying you're going to put your left hand on your right knee, your right hand back behind you, and twist, and then just going into silence. Children and young people are going to find that a bit boring, and they'll probably just start thinking and not really in the class. So that's how visualizations are going to really help engage your young people and increase their attention spans. Another example is you could do forward fold, hanging like a rag doll. All of these things just help increase engagement. Or tree pose, imagine roots going out of your feet, helping you to stay really grounded and connected and stable. And you could take that visual idea and get them to imagine what tree they are. Are they growing fruit? Obviously that's more appropriate for primary maybe, but These things really help. I even teach these visual things to adults and they love them. We learn through storytelling, so make sure you're including that in your class. Okay, how can we add detail into our class? Through detail. So we could add detail through the breath. There's all sorts of ways that you can help people to become aware of the subtle things in our bodies. So with the breath, there's temperature we can focus on. You know, we have a cooler inhale and a warmer exhale. So you could guide students to notice that. But make sure you just choose like 1 or 2 at any one time, so that you're giving that student enough time to really slow down in the silence and to actually experience for themselves what you've said. It's not about just listing 1,000,001 different things. It's just choosing 1 or 2 of the examples that I'm giving you in a class, sticking with those and giving people enough time to focus on them. So also other details that you could mention with the breath. So you've got temperature, but also you've got the pace of the breath. How are you breathing with the different exercises and the different movements? And what does that tell you about how challenging or easy you're finding something or your state of mind? You could also get students to notice where they're feeling the breath. So if you're in child's pose, are you feeling your breath in your belly? And you could also ask a question, can you also feel your breath in your lower back? Give them a bit of silence to feel that, and then you could add in and say, can you feel that expansion in your lower back as you inhale? And then can you feel that sort of hugging in as you exhale? So try not to just give blunt statements like feel your breath here or feel the stretch. See if you can actually go on and expand your description, because some people will be completely new to this. So instead of just saying feel grateful, I want you to expand and add more detail into that statement. Ask them questions to help them reflect on what they're grateful for and help them build up that sense of gratitude. Because if someone says to me, feel grateful, I mean, I might do that at a very surface level, but if someone gets me to reflect on lots of different things, that's really going to help me actually experience gratitude. In terms of the body, how we can add detail is, for example, if you're in like a down dog, getting students to focus on their heels and pressing down with their heels, and then noticing the little micro bend in the knees and that they're not locking their knees. So those subtle little focus points are going to help people become more in tune and start to listen to their body. You've also got hands and fingers to think about, where people are pressing into their fingers, if they're spread apart or close together. All these little things really help make the experience really interesting and new. So you want to try and be really curious in your teaching. So instead of just saying place your hands down, see if you can be like fan out your fingers and feel the stretch in between each finger. So try and focus on the smaller things. And my last point is adding in questions, mindful questions. So for example, if a student is finding something painful, and by painful I mean a deep stretch, because obviously if it's other types of pain, we need to show them another way which is going to be more comfortable for them. But if they're in, let's say we're in the chair yoga sequence, and imagine I'm sat on a chair and there's that pose where we're feeling the stretch there in the sciatic nerve. For lots of people that is a really deep stretch. So you could ask them, are you able to breathe into this painful stretch? Just give them a bit of silence. You could ask them, is your response to this discomfort in this stretch similar to how you respond to discomfort in real life? Are you finding yourself wanting to just push away and move on to the next thing? Or do you find yourself just wanting to stay there with it? And make sure you're asking these questions in a really non-judgmental way, because there's no right or wrong answer. We're just observing the way that we respond and react to things in yoga. There's no good or bad, we're just finding it all interesting. So those sort of questions are going to really help people learn more deeply and listen and connect to themselves. And as teachers, you're opening the door because you're allowing them to listen to their body, and you're looking at their body language, you're responding to them. So you're listening to yourself more as a teacher, and you're also helping them listen to themselves. So I hope that helps. That's a very quick overview of some examples that are already in your manual. But I just wanted to bring to life my feedback that I'm giving when I'm marking your homeworks, and kind of give you some practical skills that you can put in. If you're struggling with this, feel free. I'm happy to hop on a call with you and go through it in a bit of a slower pace. Thanks for watching, guys. You're doing so well. I'm so proud of all of you. I know there's a lot to learn. Just be gentle with yourselves. It will come over time. Just keep having a go and being open to these new ideas.